Hello, hello, my darling sweet friends! And welcome to this beautiful Peace Talks Tuesday edition of Braveheart Open Mind Live. Whether you are joining me live here right now or on the replay, I am so freaking delighted that we are sharing this time and space together because, ooh, I got a heart from Erin, it looks like. Hi, Erin, so glad you're here. I am delighted that we are spending this time together because I will be so honest with you, sweet friend. When you choose to spend time with yourself like this, engaged in the beautiful, dreamy Peace Talks method, you are choosing to deepen your relationship with yourself. And there is no greater wish that I could have for you than that. And if you're like, Peace Talks method, what is that? Do not stress at all. Feel so super relaxed and cozy because that is what we are going to get into in just a moment, is feeling into that idea of creating inner peace and inner self-love where you previously used to feel conflict, whether that is conflict that comes from self-doubt or conflict that comes from fear. Today, I'm going to focus a little bit on conflict that comes from imposter syndrome. But whatever it is that you have in mind for yourself today, whatever feeling of conflict that is coming up for you, we will use the beautiful Peace Talks method with that feeling of conflict to be able to feel a sense of ease and peace and sweet self-love with yourself again, which is so beautiful. Before we dive right in, my mind got a sweet piece of inspiration to bring on today as a special guest, a plant friend. So I was like, why not? I chose this little cutie pie. It's a el-oh-vee-ee-LOVE. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I just got her from my friend Janet. And look at her. She's even blooming. Like, look at how cute that tiny little bloom is. I just can't. It's just so cute. I can't take credit for the bloom, though. Janet did that. Janet brought that goodness on. So anyway, this is my lovely little el-oh-vee-ee-LOVE, and I don't know why I had that cute little nudge to bring on a plant friend, but maybe it'll become a thing. Erin says little stars. I know, they are. They're tiny little stars. They're so cute. And this bloom is called an umbel because it looks like a little umbrella top. I just can't. Okay. I know we're rapidly, wildly off topic, but that is okay because we are here to share really deep feelings with one another. And if we can't, also get to know each other on a more personal level, then, what are we doing in each other's space? So I am obsessed with plants, and specifically Hoyas. Erin says, perfect for James Webb Telescope Day. Yes! Oh my gosh. If you guys have not seen the images from the new James Webb Telescope that just replaced the Hubble telescope, go Google that after we're done here because it's freaking stunning. That's how I started my day, was with my husband showing me those images. So freaking cool. You can see the swirls of tiny galaxies, out in space. So good. Go look at it. So now that we have shared our space, getting to know each other a little bit more personally and getting to know that sweet little Hoya and talking about stars, let's bring things back to talking about you. And let's bring things back to talking about creating peace from a sense of inner conflict. Today specifically, I'm going to be talking about my experiences with imposter syndrome because if I'm being honest, outside of the feeling of fear, feeling imposter syndrome was typically my probably most felt or deepest feeling of inner conflict. Feeling like I'm not supposed to be here. I don't belong here. And through the bulk of my career as a public teacher, I felt this I don't want to say crippling sense of imposter syndrome because it wasn't crippling, but a definitely strong sense of imposter syndrome. And especially when you see all of those movies about those amazing inspirational teachers who change kids' lives. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm changing lives. Right? I don't know that I'm changing lives here. We're learning to kill a mockingbird, but am I changing lives? So I felt this always deep sense of I'm not a good enough teacher to be in the space that I was in. And I think part of it also came from the fact that I was teaching in the same high school where I graduated from. So I was also now colleagues with many teachers that I admired because so many English teachers inspired me growing up, which is how I found myself gravitating towards that space, was because of the amazing relationships that I had with my teachers growing up. So when I was in that space, I consistently always was comparing myself to them. And some of the teachers there were very grammatical, right? They knew their grammar inside and out, and I knew that I did not. I learned the bulk of my grammar through reading, which is to say, I know how to use grammar, but I don't always know how to explain grammar using the correct terms and where they come from and how they build on each other. So, especially there, I always found myself feeling like I wasn't as good as those amazing people that I was working with. And it wasn't until probably my last year of teaching where I finally admitted to myself that I was a freaking good teacher. Was I excellent all of the time? No, no one's excellent all of the time. But I was really good on a daily basis with what I was doing. And consequently, that was also the year that I decided to leave teaching. So something about that switch, that smoothness that can come from being at peace with who you are, allows you to elevate. It allows you to further yourself in ways that you hadn't really been able to envision for yourself before. And I think that that's particularly exciting as we sit here. Oh, hi, Becky. Hello. As we sit here in this space today, about to practice the Peace Talks method, which will help take you from feeling that sense of friction, from feeling that sense of inner turmoil, into feeling sweet and delicious and luscious self-peace. And I think that that's gorgeous. So, if you are unfamiliar with the Peace Talks method, or if you have done it before, here's a refresher or a new introduction to how the Peace Talks method works. So, what's going to happen in a few minutes when we sit down to actually do the Peace Talks method is we are going to offer that part of you that you feel in conflict with, that imposter syndrome or that fear or whatever it is that's coming up for you. We are going to offer that part of you that feels conflicting a little piece of hospitality. And I know that that may sound revolutionary, because why should we show our fear or our imposter syndrome hospitality? Like they're the ones holding us back. How dare they? They're keeping us from our accomplishments. And also, they're a part of you. You are a part of that imposter syndrome. You are inexplicably linked with your fear. There is no way to separate you from your fear. You just are each other. You are your imposter syndrome, right? You are also so much more than your imposter syndrome. But also, that imposter syndrome is likely coming from a place really deep down inside of you. And that space deep down inside of you deserves love and hospitality too. Even if it sounds unsavory, even if it sounds like, oh my God, I don't want to. I will teach you how to want to. Don't worry, my love. We're getting there. So that's the first part of the Peace Talks method, is showing that part of you that you feel in conflict with a sweet piece of hospitality. You are like holding out that olive branch that let's make peace here. Ideal, which is so beautiful. And then after that, we are going to ask your imposter syndrome, or whatever sense of conflict that you're experiencing today, what brings you by today? So for me, I would ask myself, imposter syndrome, what brings you by today? And if I were asking myself that question back in the day, it would probably say something along the lines of, to make sure you don't look stupid. Okay. Cool, thanks. You think I'm gonna look stupid? Like we have that temptation to be like, oh, that's a bad answer. And what I want to offer to you is an opportunity to not make that answer bad or good, right or wrong, just to listen to it. Because when we go about trying to make peace with anyone, we want to give that person, if we were in conflict with a person. Becky says, oh, I love that. What brings you by today? So simple yet revolutionary. Abso-freaking-lutely, Becky. That is what we are all about here, is revolutionizing your relationship with yourself. So if you were feeling in conflict with another person, you would ideally want to let them have their say, or try to see from their perspective, or, since we already mentioned To Kill a Mockingbird earlier in this live, try and put yourself in another person's shoes and walk around in them, right? You want to have that opportunity with whatever you feel in conflict with. You want to have that opportunity to see from their perspective. So, okay, you don't want me to look stupid. For what reason do you not want me to look stupid? So that people think that you're smart. Okay, we're getting a little bit better there. Like, so that people think I'm smart. That's nice. That's a pretty good intention from deep down inside myself. So that people think I'm smart. For what reason do you desire that for me? So that people think that you're a good person. Okay, ballin'. Like, that sounds amazing. So that people think that I'm a good person. For what reason do you desire for people to think that I'm a good person? So that I know that I'm a good person. Ooh, it gets even beautiful. My inner imposter syndrome just wants me to, like, feel good about myself, for me to know that I'm a good person. That's beautiful. And we'll keep asking throughout the Peace Talks method that same question of, for what reason? For what reason do you desire that for me? Or for what reason do you not desire that for me? Whatever fits the context of what comes up in your own sweet mind. So we'll keep asking that question, and eventually we're going to get to an answer that resonates with one of your highest values, one of your top beautiful values, like freedom or love or existential bliss, whatever it happens to be for you that resonates. And once you get to that point, once you continue asking that question of, for what reason do you want me to think that I'm a good person, so that I love myself more? Beautiful. For what reason do you want me to love myself more? So that I feel the vibrations of love in the world more. Beautiful. For what reason do you want me to feel the vibrations of love in the world more? so that I can be in love with love and the world more. And that resonates to me. I can feel it in my chest and throat. I can feel the brightness of my emotion towards that intention. And once you get to that point where your body is responding to something that your imposter syndrome or your fear or your sadness, whatever you feel in conflict with, once your body responds positively and beautifully to that notion, you know that you've achieved sweet inner peace with that thing that was previously in conflict. And that is so freaking beautiful. That is so freaking powerful. Because what it also does is it not only instigates peace within you, but it also forms the foundation of sweet and delicious self-love. When you are not in a battle with yourself, when you are not in conflict with yourself, that ground of peace, that feeling of wholeness and deliciousness that comes, maybe that's why I brought a plant on today, because I'm going to say that is the soil in which you can grow delicious self-love. That's probably why my mind wanted me to bring a plant on today, so I can make that delicious metaphor for you right now. So that is where you can grow a beautiful sense of self-love for yourself, is in that ground where we have seeded and created peace. So good, so juicy, so delicious. So what I would love for you to do now is just take a moment to get in touch with whatever part of you you feel like you are in conflict with right now. It can be a sense of imposter syndrome or a fear that's holding you back from making a really big change in your life. Whatever it is for you, my darling sweet friend, just get in touch with what it is that you feel like you're in conflict with right now. And if it is safe for you to do so, like you're not operating a motor vehicle or like supervising children, I'll ask you to close your eyes, but you can do this with your eyes open too. So just take a moment and imagine yourself in the most comfy, cozy place that you can possibly imagine. Perhaps it's in a big, delicious chair like the one I'm sitting in now that's so cozy. Or maybe it's a place you make up in your mind in front of a crackling fireplace or in a sunshiny forest meadow. Just the coziest place that you can possibly think of for yourself. And in that place, once you're there, with as much or as little detail as your mind wants to create for you, just imagine that that part of you that you're in conflict with is there with you. And as you're sitting there with that feeling or that part of you that you feel like you're in conflict with, I'll ask you to show yourself a sense or a symbol of hospitality. Something like a cookie from your picnic basket if you're in that meadow I mentioned. Or maybe you pull out a cute little cup of tea and you pour it and brew it for that part of you. You, the you that has come to this chance for healing and this chance for peace right now, gets to be that person who creates hospitality in whatever way feels good. Maybe it's a slice of toast with delicious butter and jam. Whatever feels good to show this part of you some delicious hospitality. And once that part of you accepts that hospitality, that kernel of love that she's been waiting for perhaps this whole time, or maybe just for a short while, and then ask that sense of conflict, what brings you by today? And listen for the answer of what she wants for you, or what brought her into this space, what brought her to your attention. So just listen for her answer. And then ask yourself, or ask her, for what reason do you want that or not want that for me, depending on what she said? For what reason do you desire that for me? And then listen for the answer. And once you have that answer, you can ask again, okay, cool. For what reason do you want that for me or not want that for me? And let whatever comes up, come up. And then ask yourself, beautiful, good. For what reason do you desire that for me? And listen again for the answer. And then ask yourself again, for what reason do you desire that for me? And listen, my love, for the answer. For what reason do you desire that for me? And listen, my love, for the answer. Always knowing that as these answers come up, that you are getting more and more desirable answers, aren't you? The more you listen to this side of you, this part of you, the more you can see that you guys are basically on the same terms, especially if you ask again, for what reason do you desire that for me? And listen for the answer. And ask again, for what reason do you desire that for me? And listen, knowing that as you listen to this other part of you, you grow closer and closer to each other in feeling. You know that you were never meant to be in conflict to begin with, were you? You were always part of each other. And I'll let you now ask yourself as many times as you need, for what reason do you desire that for me? Until you feel those feelings of wholeness and peace and love for yourself. So just take some time with yourself and ask for what reason. You can ask as many or as little times as you'd like, whatever feels good, however many questions it takes. For what reason? With each answer comes deeper understanding. With each deeper understanding comes a deeper sense of peace now, doesn't it? And maybe you only need to ask one or two more times before you hit that delicious top value. Of love, or peace, or freedom, or bliss. Something that resonates so deliciously inside of you that you can't help but feel the wholeness and completeness between you and what used to feel in conflict. And as that deeper understanding solidifies, it's like we've added delicious nutrients to the soil of the grounds from which you can grow delicious self-love now. And I imagine by this point, you're more or less feeling delicious peace, sweet, sweet, enjoyable peace, and perhaps even a sense of glowing self-love. So beautiful, so delicate when it first puts out its roots until they strengthen, digging in deep, flowing through that soil like it's meant to be there, because it is, isn't it? And so as you grow to feel more and more of this delicious self-peace, I will offer you the opportunity to come back into the room with me. Perhaps you flutter your eyelashes open if they've been closed. Perhaps you stretch, maybe rotate your wrists, stretch it out a little. Feel lusciously good in your own body, where you've created even more peace now, even more deliciousness. And as we come back into the room together with each other, I totally invite you to move in a way that feels good to your body after we're done here. Because if we are talking about the deliciousness of coming together and having a full mind, body, spirit integration and healing here, getting your body involved can be so luscious and so good. So maybe throw on your favorite song and have a dance party, or do some yoga, however feels good or luscious to you, to welcome in this new peace and this new sense of self-love inside of your body today. And I'm so excited for you and so proud of you for coming here to this space and spending time with yourself, getting to know a deeper understanding for you and forging a stronger, sweeter, richer relationship with yourself than you had just half an hour ago, which is so juicy, so freaking good. I'm so proud of you. Now that we have reached the end of the Peace Talks method here with our time together, either live or on the replay, I will invite you to receive more of this juicy love and juicy goodness by joining the list to get love letters from me in your inbox all the time, usually multiple times a week, because I am so stoked to shower you with love and more delicious ways to reflect on your own self-love and your own self-relationship. So I will leave information on how to get those love letters downstairs. And just thank you again from me and my cute Hoya today for joining us to strengthen your own sweet, beautiful self-love. I love you so, so freaking much. From my heart to yours, my darling sweet friend. I hope that you have just the most amazing day. And I'm sending you all the love and deliciousness. Bye.